This is CBC Here and Now.
With winter right around the corner, we'll talk about what to expect this coming season.
The RCMP say that in 2020 there have been 15 ATV and snowmobile-related deaths in their jurisdiction, and they want that number to drop. So they're going to try something new.
It's not against the law to put a cape on and get up on the roof of your house and jump off and see if you can fly. But people don't do it because it's common sense.
I'm Jeremy Eaton. I'll tell you what it is coming up on Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Peter Cowan. We're interrupting special coverage of the federal government's economic update to bring you a full hour of Here and Now. We start on a recap with the latest COVID cases in this province. Well, there's one new case of COVID in the province today. It's the close contact of someone who traveled. That's a drop from the weekend numbers. There were 2 cases announced Saturday and 4 cases announced yesterday. They're all either travelers or close contacts of existing cases. Today, Dr. Janice Fitzgerald warned there would be more cases as traveling increases leading up to Christmas. But the message from the Premier remained calm.
It's going to be okay. Please, don't panic. Take a deep breath and stay calm. We are focused on avoiding a full lockdown here in Newfoundland and Labrador. This is where you come in and have a big part to play. You have to follow the rules, no matter who you are, and to focus even more on what you and your family are doing, as opposed to what others are doing. That's how we avoid turning into a COVID-19 hotspot.
So what should you be doing? Today, officials reminded people to get the COVID Alert app. Dr. Fitzgerald says the app has alerted at least one person in this province to come in and get tested because they were close to someone who tested positive. They're encouraging everyone who can to install it on their phone. Well, on Rosemary Barton Live yesterday, the Premier said it's important to base decision-making during the pandemic on science. Andrew Furey says when it comes time to administer a vaccine, it'll be important to prioritize the needs of vulnerable people rather than focusing on individual provinces.
You really need to look at the burden of the vulnerable if you're going to truly come up with a formula that distributes this in a triage fashion. It should never be just per capita, albeit that perhaps is the formula that we're going to land on for simplicity of logistics and operations. But if you're going to come up with a more creative formula, it certainly would be one perhaps that should be based on the burden of vulnerability as opposed to the raw numbers of outbreaks, because we know that can change, right? So if you're trying to protect those that don't have it, not that those that have it.
Now, Barton also asked the Premier what he's hoping to hear in today's fiscal update from the Feds, his priorities, the energy sector, and childcare.
We're looking at sectors that could be supported in other ways. So I'll be watching for language surrounding the energy sector. I'll equally, though, from a social lens, be looking at language surrounding the promise for childcare. It's something that's near and dear to our heart, and I believe it's a good tool to emerge from this economic crisis. And to that effect, our province has introduced $25 a day daycare, despite the troubling fiscal times we're in, because it is a good economic investment moving forward.
Well, December starts tomorrow, and that's the beginning of what we call meteorological winter. So climatologists are going to start to look at what sea surface temperatures are about, or what they're like, rather, to give us an idea of what the winter forecast is going to look like. So if we take a look across the world, most are actually above normal, except at the equatorial Pacific. And La Nina has been in place for a little bit through most of the fall, and that's going to generally continue as we head into the next couple of months. So typically when we see La Nina, we see a variable jet stream. That's really going to play a part in what we're going to see weather-wise here in the Maritime provinces and the Atlantic provinces, certainly here for Newfoundland and Labrador. So mainly La Nina affects the Pacific, but that variable jet stream, like I said, is going to play a big role. So we're probably going to see lots of temperature swings through the winter, warm pushes of air and then some cooler air as well as that jet stream dives down. But overall, it looks like most of Newfoundland and the southeastern portion of Labrador should see above above seasonal temperatures. Now, when it comes to precipitation, again, that jet stream is going to play a big role. It looks like we should see near or just above normal precipitation for most of the province, but we'll probably see more storms that will see the changeover from snow through to freezing rain and then to rain. So definitely something to look into as we head through the next couple months. But it has been winter in Labrador for a while, and there's more winter weather on the way. I'll have all those details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. A 49-year-old woman died in a single vehicle crash over the weekend in Mount Pearl. It happened just before 3 a.m. Saturday. Emergency crews responded to an area off Pitts Memorial Drive where they found a vehicle on the Commonwealth Avenue off-ramp. The woman was pronounced dead at the scene while a man was taken to hospital. Police are looking for anyone who witnessed the crash or who might have captured dashcam video of what happened.
An Inuit politician from this province is suddenly on the outs. Edward Blake Rutkowski was the Speaker of the Nunatsiavut Assembly in Hopedale, but he was kicked off the beneficiary list last month and out of the Assembly. Here now's Garrett Berry explains.
What I've been told is I'm not Inuit enough.
Rutkowski says it came as a shock. After years in the Labrador Inuit Association and in Nunatsiavut as an elected representative, he's been shown the door.
I'm being raw. I'm feeling upset. I'm feeling disappointed. I'm feeling hurt, to be quite fair and honest with you.
The issue is in the blood and the family tree. Under his category of membership, a beneficiary needs to have 25% Inuit ancestry. Rutkowski was told he has just 17%. He calls it an unproven method based on the opinions of the board and not hard data.
You know, if my grandmother was sitting beside me right now and I were to ask her, you know, what percentage Inuit blood are you? What percentage Innu blood are you? You know, because my personal background is diverse and complex, as is many people's in Central Labrador, for that matter. You know, if I were to ask my grandmother that question, what percent? I don't think she could hazard a guess.
Rutkowski says the complaint that started his membership review came from a political opponent, just a day after the election results were made official.
The timing of those challenges is extremely curious. And, you know, a cynical person might say that there was some political redress or some retribution at play there.
The head of the Nunatsiavut government says the membership boards are independent, not controlled by present or former politicians, and follow a clear and fair process.
Any individual, again, goes through the process. They have the opportunity to provide information that's requested by the membership committee. You know, again, if they don't pass the test in terms of connections to the land claims communities and you know, family connections, then there's always a back and forth between the applicant and the membership committee.
He says blood quantum doesn't have to be the determining factor.
There's 3 ways in which an individual can demonstrate that they should be a beneficiary to the Labrador Land Claims Agreement. Through that third category, through Kalinaniuk, again, these quantum issues can be less pronounced.
Minister Edmonds says that anybody who feels the membership board made a mistake has the right to appeal, and those appeals can go as far as a federal court. Rutkowski hasn't said what his next steps are, but he's told CBC that his days in the political arena aren't done yet, and he feels no less Inuit today than he did last week. Garrett Berry, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Well, 4 years ago today, Jennifer Hillier-Penny vanished in St. Anthony, and police have said very little about the investigation into her suspicious disappearance. A daughter's grief has now turned to anger. Marina Penny says she's mad she can't bury her mother, mad the public doesn't know what she calls the whole truth. Here now's Colleen Connors has been following the story since the very beginning, and she joins us live tonight from Corner Brook. Colleen, what can you tell us?
Well, I'm here outside of the RCMP Major Crime Unit in Corner Brook, where the police are saying that this is still an active investigation 4 years later. And 4 years ago this week, I was in St. Anthony, outside of the Penny household, where police were investigating this and collecting evidence. And now we do know that at that family home, the Penny's home, that's where Jennifer Hillier-Penny was the night before. She was there visiting and staying with her daughter while her estranged husband, Dean Penny, was away hunting in Northwest Arm. Now, the next morning when her daughter awoke, she found her mother's belongings, things like her purse, her jacket, Her keys, even her vehicle was outside, but no mom. Now, I have spoken with many of Jennifer Hillier-Penny's family members over these past 4 years. And you know, tonight, her daughter Marina Penny's, that sorrow, that grief, I feel it's really turned to anger. Now, she vocalized some of her concerns on social media yesterday with this really powerful post with pictures attached and the hashtag Justice for Jennifer.
I'm angry and I'm tired. I'm tired. And we're just full of rage. Like, nobody thought this could go on this long. And we're still here, and it's no different now than when it first happened, and especially this time of year.
Now, you're going to hear more from Marina Penny tomorrow on Here and Now when she responds to the RCMP's latest plea asking people who know anything about this to come forward. She says it's a waste. Why she thinks that will never happen. That's tomorrow. Live on Here and Now, I'm Colleen Connors.
Well, it's been nearly 9 months since the release of the final report of the Muskrat Falls inquiry, and the provincial government has barely made a dent in adopting a sweeping series of recommendations aimed at helping the province avoid a similar debacle in the future. The government is blaming the global pandemic, but as Terry Roberts reports, critics aren't buying it.
Well, I'm disappointed, but I guess not surprised.
Ron Penny has been speaking out against Muskrat Falls for 11 years. Many of his warnings have become reality. Now he's once again angry at the government.
I think they use the pandemic as an excuse, but you can see that they're pretty active otherwise in terms of announcing all kinds of projects with money that we don't have.
Justice Richard LeBlanc's report was released in March, an explosive document. Some scorching criticism for Nalcor, for politicians, and for the public service. But we haven't heard much about the report ever since, or its recommendations.
Work has been ongoing throughout.
The minister in charge of implementing the recommendations says the pandemic is to blame, a public health crisis which has intensified an already bleak financial situation.
Everything's been delayed there as our legislature's gone through upheaval. I mean, basically it was a different sitting back in the spring, this fall, we've been dealing with other things, and just there's been delays there that are hard to avoid when you have the majority of staff working from home. So no, I don't think we're as far ahead as we would like to be, but at the same time it's not sitting on a shelf.
17 recommendations. None of the main 7 have been implemented. 3 of the others have been carried out. The report hasn't changed any government policy. Ron Penny is worried there may already be consequences. LeBlanc's #1 recommendation is that any public project costing more than $50 million should undergo rigorous, independent review. At more than $300 million, that would mean an independent review of the new adult mental health and addictions facility in St. John's.
If anybody independent had looked at that decision, no doubt they would have changed, because it's in a floodplain, and the province does the mapping for the floodplain. And it's just totally an unsuitable location for the Waterford Hospital.
But government officials say an independent review of the site was done and says new berms will prevent flooding. As for Andrew Parsons, he says Justice LeBlanc's instructions will be followed.
And I would be more worried about whether we do it or not, rather than how fast we can do it, because the goal is to do these recommendations.
Parsons says many of the recommendations will come into force during next spring's sitting of the House of Assembly. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, an MHA in Conception Bay South wants to help cool a heated debate over a multi-million-dollar proposal for Long Pond. As we've been following on Here and Now, OCI wants to build a cold storage and wharf in the middle of the harbour, and some local residents are calling for a full environmental assessment and more transparency. While Progressive Conservative MHA Barry Petton supports the project, he also believes residents should have gotten a heads up.
And the process has been in place 2 years ago to say some kind of stopgap measure by the province to say this has been submitted. Somewhat like when they register a project for an EA, even the ones that got public concern, like infilling of a harbour, would cause some concern to the general public. I think they should be flagged, and there should be some process to make the public aware, the communities aware where that's happening to. Then they can give their input.
A final vote is expected soon, though CBS has yet to set a date. The town is also planning on holding a public consultation session on the proposal, but the date for that hasn't been set either. Well, a sure sign that winter is on the way. As of midnight tonight, winter parking bans come into effect in St. John's as well as Mount Pearl. In St. John's, as of tomorrow, parking is prohibited 24 hours a day along designated snow routes. There are on-street parking restrictions in the downtown for snow removal, but those details change and they're updated daily online. And on the street parking ban for downtown and the business district doesn't start until January 6th. Unless, of course, there's another snowmageddon. In Mount Pearl, no vehicle is permitted to be parked on any street between 1 and 8 a.m. or during a storm and for 12 hours afterwards.
Well, masks are already a part of mummering. COVID isn't changing that, but other rules around the tradition are tightening, and the annual Mummers Festival in St. John's isn't taking any chances. The first ever virtual Mummers Festival kicked off this weekend.
We're going to put on one screw 5 bottle caps and 4 felt tins. Today we are making ugly sticks for the Mummers Festival, and we're doing it virtually for the first time ever.
Everything that we do typically is back. It's just in a digital platform. And so we've got 2 weeks planned of talks, presentations, the same things that are going to be happening, but they're all going to be available online. So accessible to everybody, not just in Newfoundland and Labrador, but right across the country and beyond.
It's a great percussion instrument. It kind of ties in with mummering perfectly, and it's actually great if you want to go mummering because you don't want to take your nice guitar or your fancy instrument. This is something you can beat up and beat around. So in that way, it's great for mummering.
Well, the parade in the past, of course, is our signature day. It begins with a rig up. We provide tables and tables of clothing, all kinds of outlandish pieces of outerwear, innerwear, you name it, and they can create their own costumes. And then we have a parade that lasts about 45 minutes where a cast of thousands join us marching through the streets of Old St. John's. This year, of course, we're not able to have that. We're going to be streaming our virtual Mummers Parade. And so we're still asking people to submit video clips for that, and we're going to put them all together and stream what we hope is going to be an awesome virtual Mummers Parade.
The strangest collection of underwear I've seen
this
week.
I'm disappointed you're not dressed up now, Anthony. God, get into the spirit of things.
I didn't have time. If you want to be part of the virtual parade, make sure to send in a video.
Yep, the Mummers Festival is asking people to get dressed up in their mummering best and send in a snippet by tomorrow. The virtual celebration happens on December 12th.
Well, a wintry mix of weather up through portions of Labrador. We have some snowfall warnings, special weather statement, even some freezing rain warnings. I'll have all the details coming up.
Welcome back to Here and Now. The RCMP say 15 people have died in ATV or snowmobile accidents this year, and that number is simply too high. So the provincial police force is now starting a new education campaign and turning to new enforcement techniques to try to put the brakes on bad behavior. Here Now's Jeremy Eaton has more.
The RCMP brought out the province's highest-ranking officer this afternoon to shine a light on recreational vehicle deaths in this province. 15 people have died on ATVs or snowmobiles so far this year. There were 12 deaths in 2019, 10 more in 2018. That's 37 people gone in 3 years.
I find these numbers personally very alarming. This is an extreme, almost what one might gently refer to as a casualty rate.
Parsons acknowledged the importance of ATVs and snowmobiles to people in this province as a mode of transportation and livelihood. But he wants to see safer riders.
In 11 cases, safety equipment such as helmets, seat belts weren't worn. In 10 cases, alcohol was suspected to have been a factor.
The RCMP are not taking this lightly. The increased enforcement will focus on speed, the use of safety gear, underage drivers, and drinking and driving.
The undeniable fact of death and tragedy is there. In my personal experience, I've had recreational vehicles flee from me, and in many cases, the operator saw it as a joke. I can assure you, when I knock on the door and tell someone their loved one has been killed, it's no joke.
The RCMP plan to shift gears on how they police ATVs, calling it a covert operation, switching up marked cruisers for everyday vehicles that won't easily be identified.
The use of plainclothes officers to use camera surveillance to be able to gather the evidence to support prosecution that allows us to follow up after the fact with these violators and avoid the whole situation of them fleeing from the police.
The new police plan is a good one, according to the head of the Avalon Trailways Corporation, who says more education is needed.
We have to change the culture. We have to make people realize that this is not acceptable. 15 deaths is way too many. One is too many. This is a recreation. This is not something that you have to do. So one death is one too many.
These posters are a big part of the plan for the police force, a 12-week social media campaign, an aggressive program in public education aimed at showing the damage done by the reckless use of recreational vehicles. Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, there's a development for new drivers in the province that could take some pressure off. People no longer have to write the test for their learner's permit in person. As Here and Now's Cease Hare reports, the new convenience was inspired by COVID-19.
Obtaining a driver's license is one of the rites of passage on the bumpy road to adulthood, and now getting the learner's permit for a Class 5 license is only a click away. Service NL now offers the written test online, convenient from home and for those who need to do a rewrite, which is normal.
It's going really well so far. I think we've had 143 people do it online, 23% pass rate, which I understand is equivalent to doing it in person.
The first step to an online test is setting up an account, which can be done from anywhere in the province. Once a pass is achieved, an appointment is necessary at motor registration to complete the permit, which includes a vision test and a photograph. The online test is the same as the paper one. There are two parts, road sign recognition and knowledge-based questions. And if a person doesn't pass, they can try it again the next day. One test a day is allowed. And as for the timing of this online written test, Studley admits the pandemic played a role.
We saw this as a great opportunity, especially with COVID, where we had previously you'd have 30 people in a room writing a test like I did when I was 16. And so with COVID, we thought, we really need to change this. So it was really a good impetus, I guess, for change.
This is the beginning of change when it comes to online through Service NL. For example, each year the province issues 25,000 domestic woodcutting permits to people who apply either on the phone or face-to-face. Studley says those permits will soon be available online. Cease Hare, CBC News, St. John's.
There's also a new phone system in place at motor vehicles registration. Callers can now get an expected wait time. They have the option to receive a call back or leave a message. Motor vehicle was averaging 1,400 calls a day, likely due to people hanging up and redialing. So far, that number is down by 300. Ashley, I know you said it's the start of meteorological winter coming up, but I gotta say, Saturday did not feel anything close. I went and I hiked Signal Hill, and it felt like a beautiful spring day. So
it did.
Can we just skip winter and get back to more of that?
Unfortunately not, but there is a little bit more of that definitely in the forecast for this week. But today, a little bit cooler.
Yes, but there was sun.
There was, yes, it's true. 15 degrees on Saturday actually is what we reached. At one point, we were the warmest in the country. So that's pretty nice. Today, a little cooler. Let's take a look at those temperatures. 3 degrees in St. John's was the afternoon high. That's where we should be sitting this time of year. -6 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and Makkovik saw a high near -5 today. Temperatures have dropped now. It's chilly out there, hovering around the 0 degree mark or just below for most of us. 2 degrees in Port aux Basques and -9 right now in Happy Valley, Goose Bay. So not a whole lot happening weather-wise. Beautiful afternoon, as Peter mentioned. We are seeing some sun, some clouds on the increase for the west coast, and that generally will continue as we head through the overnight tonight, as those clouds will continue to creep a little bit further east. But all the action is for Labrador tonight. So we do have some snow that will make its way from Lab West through to the interior as we head into the early morning hours and eventually towards the coast as well. So I'll just show you the warnings right now. Snowfall warning in place for Lab City, Churchill Falls, and the Valley. And then we've got a special weather statement in effect for the rest of the coast. Cartwright to Hopedale, and then Happy Valley, Goose Bay, as well as Eagle River. So as far as that snowfall amount goes, this will take us through to tomorrow afternoon. You can see quick 20 to as much as 30 centimeters of snow, hence that snowfall warning. And then anywhere towards the coast in that special weather statement, you're looking at somewhere between 10 to 20 centimeters of snow falling by tomorrow afternoon. And then anywhere, pretty much the rain snow line is going to set up around Rigolet. Anything north of that should stay as snow, and we could see 30 plus centimeters of snow falling by the time tomorrow night, Wednesday night rolls around rather. Here's the temperatures tonight. Like I said, not a whole lot going except increasing cloud for the island, but temperatures will be below 0. Some winds out of the southeast in the west, somewhere between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, and then going down to -10 tonight for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, with the winds easing along the coast. So as far as tomorrow goes, we are going to see that snow continue to make its way towards the coast, and then we're going to see a transition to rain. The other thing to note is we could see an extended period of freezing rain pretty much set up from Labrador City through to the interior and then Cartwright. But temperatures are hovering just around the 0 degree mark, and even a half of a degree or even less than that will be the difference between whether we see rain or freezing rain into the afternoon on Tuesday. So as we head into Tuesday night, for coastal areas, that should change over to rain. We'll see that warmer air push further north, but then we get into that potential to see the freezing rain into the western areas as well. So certainly going to have to keep an eye on that one. Environment Canada has already issued a freezing rain warning, though, for the Churchill Valley. You're looking at anywhere from 10 to 15 millimeters of rain falling, freezing rain falling. So we could see some damage from that. As far as Tuesday afternoon's forecast goes, seasonal. 5 to 7, 8 degrees. The winds will be brisk, though, out of the south, 30 to 60 kilometers per hour for most of the island. And then again, those temperatures, these temperatures that you're seeing here, 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees, that'll be later on in the afternoon, or later on in the evening, rather, when we start to see that change over to rain, hovering around the -2 degree range for Lab City. As we head into Wednesday, things are going to stay unsettled. That risk of freezing rain will continue for portions of Labrador, still have that in there. But again, temperatures hovering near or just above 0 into Wednesday, and then a big push of warm air will move right back in for the island. Temperatures between 12 to 13 degrees, a little cooler around Port aux Basques, and then along the Strait and the northern peninsula as well. 3-4 degrees will be the afternoon high, but we are looking at some periods of rain. Into Thursday, that warm air sticks around. A little bit more sunshine in play on the west coast, however, cloudy with some showers and periods of rain as well for the east. 12 degrees will be the afternoon high for St. John's, and then we get back below 0 for Lab City, and then hovering a couple of degrees above 0 for southeastern portions of Labrador. After that, temperatures will dip again, but they're still going to be above normal for where we should be sitting this time of year. Friday, Saturday with the potential for a few showers as well as some sunshine in the mix. Doesn't look too bad. For central Newfoundland, you're looking at those double-digit temperatures ending on Friday as well. 4 to 7 degrees as we head towards the weekend. A few showers or flurries possible in western Newfoundland just because those temperatures are going to hover around the 0-degree mark. So we should see some flurry activity to start and then change over to the potential for a few showers in the afternoon for you. For eastern Labrador, after Thursday, we get back below 0 and then well below 0 for Lab West with the potential for some more snow on the way for Friday. Wanted to share this lovely shot. Look at this stunning evening in Kitty Vitty. Danielle captured that beautifully. Thank you so much for sharing that. If you have any weather photos, send to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Manitoba was sort of a headliner in kind of keeping the numbers low and that sort of thing. We were sort of celebrities for a minute, but not anymore. We're kind of, this is quarantine central now, I figure.
So what's it like in Quarantine Central? We're going to connect with a Newfoundlander in Winnipeg as Manitoba struggles with COVID-19.
The Goat Dance.
we take you to the place the dance was born, Great Harbor Deep, almost 30 years ago. Sunday at noon and Monday at 7.
There's one new case of COVID announced in Newfoundland and Labrador today, and that's a number that most provinces would envy. Cases are surging in other parts of Canada. Right now, for instance, Manitoba is the hardest hit. That province confirmed 343 new cases today alone, and they hit a new record high for COVID-19 hospitalizations. Manitoba currently has 9,260 active cases. Now, to put that in perspective, if this province had the same rate of infection, the same number of COVID cases per capita, we would have about 3,500 active cases. Well, Dwayne Doucette is a Newfoundlander who now lives in Manitoba. He's from the Port-au-Port Peninsula, and we've reached him in Winnipeg. So, Dwayne, what's life in Winnipeg like these days?
It's pretty quiet. We're on pretty extreme lockdown right now. We're only allowed one visitor, that sort of thing. Any essential purchases are not allowed, or non-essential purchases. Sorry about that. It's lonely sometimes, yeah.
So give me a sense of what your average day is like. You have an office job, right?
I do. Well, I get up, I get in my car and I go to work and I sit in my cubicle and then I get in my car and come back home again. That's all we do.
So it's not exactly a lot of interaction. If you take me back through the different phases of this pandemic, how does where we are right now, here on the cusp of December, how does that compare to the rest of the pandemic from what you've experienced?
It seems a little high right now, and it seems everyone's in a state of panic a little bit about what's happening. In the beginning, we were doing okay. Manitoba was sort of a headliner in kind of keeping the numbers low and that sort of thing. We were sort of celebrities for a minute, but not anymore. We're kind of, this is quarantine central now, I figure.
So when you look at the national picture and you look back here at your home province, what do you make of the difference?
Well, it looks like, I guess they're doing a good job back home. It seems that, it's hard to say. I'd like to be back there now and with those numbers so I could feel, around some people I love and be at home. But in Manitoba, it's scary a little bit right now.
Do you get a chance to talk to some of your family back on the West Coast very much?
Oh, I do. We keep in contact on Facebook and that sort of thing, and lots of chatting and gossiping,
So do they ever ask you, Dwayne, like, why are you staying there?
In Winnipeg?
Yeah.
I get asked that a lot. It's home now. I've been here since 2006, so I had some extended family here. My mom lives here, and I have a sister and a cousin, that sort of thing. So I came here just for a year to take a break in 2006, but I'm here now 14 years, so it's sort of home. So.
Right, and obviously you're staying safe. I am. No doubt there are people in Port-au-Port watching tonight. Some concerned about Winnipeg, but obviously you're taking care of yourself. You're not intermingling with people.
Not at all.
Any message for the folks back in Port-au-Port?
I just want to say hi to everyone. Stay safe. To all the Doucettes and the Hineses and the Bradburys I'm related to there. Hi, everyone. Stay safe.
All right, and you stay safe as well. Thanks for giving us a sense. I know it's lonely now, but hopefully things will get better. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for reaching out. Have a good day.
You too.
Take care.
The pandemic is casting a long shadow over an unclear future. Chrystia Freeland is offering a financial snapshot and outlining an ambitious economic plan, one that the federal government hopes will help Canada's recovery and growth despite COVID-19. The finance minister says the government is prepared to spend up to $100 billion to kickstart the post-pandemic economy.
The virus is under control and our economy is ready for new growth. We will deploy an ambitious stimulus package to jumpstart our recovery, spending roughly 3 to 4% of GDP over 3 years. Our government will make carefully judged, targeted, and meaningful investments to create jobs and boost growth.
Now, one of the things that's going to take to get to that, of course, is a vaccine. Canada has already pre-purchased millions of doses of multiple COVID-19 vaccines, but the government can't say when Canadians will actually get them. Critics suggest Canada is falling behind other countries on vaccination plans, but a Montreal-based epidemiologist says he's not worried.
I think this whole debate has been much ado about nothing. As long as we get the vaccines early in 2021, I think we'll be fine, because here's the thing. It's going to take months to vaccinate everybody across this country. This is not something that's going to happen instantaneously. So whether we get the vaccines in late December or early January or late January, even early February, is not going to make a huge impact on our rollout plan.
Welcome back to Here and Now, and we have a new episode of our series Stuffed, and this one could turn out to be contentious because I know it's one that people at home are going to disagree with.
Could start some arguments because this time the group is trying to figure out who has the best catch of the day. Very controversial, fish and chips.
Ooh.
Okay, something's fishy around here.
Hey, it's Aoife.
Farai. And Columbus.
And we're three really good friends who really love to eat.
Join us as we put our taste buds to the test and discover the amazing food around St. John's.
We ordered the same dish at 3 places and then we vote for a favorite.
Let's get stuffed!
Today on Stuffed, we're trying an amazing Newfoundland delicacy, fish and chips.
We're headed to 3 places, Duke of Duckworth, Kitty Vitty Fish and Chips.
And we're taking a road trip to Petty Harbour to eat at Chafe's Landing.
we're here at the Duke of Duckworth, which has been in business for over 30 years. They're famous for their fish and chips, a large selection of draft beers, and an authentic pub setting.
Have you ever had authentic Newfoundland fish and chips?
No, this has actually been the first time for me. I'm looking forward to it. How about you, Columbus?
So like I have had fish and chips, but I really don't know what to expect. Like what makes it Newfoundland fish and chip? Because like doesn't have like, is it the cod?
I feel like that's a really good question that I don't have the answer to. I think it's like a certain type of like batter, and then doesn't it come with like gravy and dressing?
We'll have
What kind of dressing is it, formal or casual?
Are you serious right now?
It looks huge, so portion size on fleek.
I like the fries because they're not too oily.
Homemade, I like that.
How can you tell?
Because you can just tell, you can feel it.
She's a potato whisperer.
I really, they told me they're homemade.
Ooh, look at that. Look at that drip.
Okay. I like it. I'm into gravy. I approve this gravy.
The batter's very light. It's very light, which is good.
It tastes so fresh. Like it's recently caught, you know?
I was talking to the owner earlier, and he said it was caught today at 6 o'clock.
That's crazy. So it literally like walked onto our plate. Well, fishes don't walk, but you know what I mean.
Fish don't walk. Fish.
When you take a bite and you put the fish, chips, gravy, and dressing, it's really good together.
So this has totally changed my perception on fish and chips, because fish and chips is usually like a very greasy kind of thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. But this is very light.
I think for a first experience, it set the bar pretty high.
No shortage of good food trucks in this province, but today we're going to go to Kitty Vitty Fish and Chips, which is on Harbour Drive. They're known for their Atlantic cod, and yeah, I'm really excited about it. Wow.
Thank you very much.
And your forks. Thank you. Okay, first thoughts from the look of it.
The headlining act is the fish.
Oh, no?
Get it?
Okay.
It's on newspaper headline.
Oh!
Come on.
Why are you eating?
Look at it. What do you do? Just sit.
The fries.
Got some homemade tartar sauce too.
So I just tasted this tartar sauce. Is it tartar or tartar?
Tartar.
Is it?
Tartar.
Tartar.
Tater.
Okay, anyway, this is so good.
One thing dramatically different though is that it's way lighter. The fish is way lighter than before. Do you get what I mean?
Like the color of the
color.
fish?
So I don't know if that'll make all of the taste. Do you
Well,
get what I mean?
maybe it could be because like it's in a beer batter. Can you taste the Kitty Vitty beer?
I think that I'm a bit buzzed right now.
That's not how beer works. It's cooked. That's not how the beer
Well,
works.
I can definitely taste the beer.
I feel like I noticed here that it's mostly cod. That's probably because of the location. So like when you're growing up, like what type of fishes did you... Fishes is apparently not a thing according to our grammar teacher Farai over here. But you know, what type of fish did you eat?
Tilapia. Tilapia, tilapia, tilapia. One word.
Spell tilapia, please.
T-I-lapia.
When I was younger, we used to eat a lot of catfish.
Deep fried fish is fairly new to me because I grew up in a house where we had a lot of fish because my dad was crazy about seafood. But like we had brim, we had tiger fish. Yeah, so like as a result, I think as I got older, I kind of stopped having fish. But it's nice to get back to it, you know?
The fish was really like, I could taste the difference in the batter, so that was really nice. And I really love the look of it, it's aesthetically pleasing.
Gives me this home cooked vibe, like, you know, dinner at Nan's.
I love how we're eating outside. It's so refreshing.
Yeah, I definitely.
We can catch some sun rays, catch the vitamin D, catch a fish, catch something, you know what I mean?
We're here at Chase Landing in the beautiful Petty Harbor. They're right by the ocean, so you know they gotta have great fish and chips. They actually opened up in 2008 and are well known for their seafood. You ready to see what they got?
Let's go.
Let's get it.
This is actually my first time in Petty Harbor. Have you guys been here before?
No, I don't really get to go out as much as I'd like to because of school and all.
Yeah.
But it's a very beautiful place. I mean, I've been to other places. I've been to La Manche. I've been to Deer Lake.
Apparently that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's
it's
love
beautiful.
It there.
I feel like you don't even have to go far to like love Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Like Signal Hill is like a joint itself.
It really is.
Yes, bye.
And honestly, I just think like I love hiking and trails, so I try and go to as many.
Exactly, there are a lot of
places as
hidden
possible.
gems, you understand?
All right, guys, back to business. Third catch of the day. Are you guys any closer to figuring out what makes Newfoundland fish and chips so special?
I think it could be the batter, maybe. Or is it just me?
I don't know, I think they're hitting it pretty hard.
The fish is also tasting a bit different from each location. Like the cod itself is tasting different, which is pretty interesting.
Guys, this is huge.
Okay.
The tartar sauce is homemade.
I just burned my tongue, but it burns so good.
It burned so good.
Yep.
This is well seasoned, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Do they bottle this stuff? It's so good. Honestly. Can I have the gravy, please?
Yes, you may, but first.
Oh, wow.
Seeing as we're in Petty Harbor, I have to be a bit petty.
That won't be too hot for you.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this gravy is like really sweet for some reason. Is that not a bad thing, but like...
I'm enjoying it. I really like the dressing.
When you put the dressing, the gravy, the tartar sauce, and the fish together, it tastes so good.
I definitely agree with that.
So today, my perception of fish and chips has totally changed.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's not just a greasy food, but I can see why it's a Newfoundland delicacy.
Yeah, I totally agreed. Like,
Yeah?
honestly, today I thought I wasn't gonna make it because it's such a heavy meal, but here I am, alive, well, and stuffed.
To give you guys a breakdown, we went to Kitty Vitty Fish and Chips.
Chase Landing.
Duke of Duckworth.
And yeah, what was your favorite?
Mine was Duke of Duckworth. The batter was amazing. I just loved the way the fish tasted and the atmosphere of the place.
What was your favorite?
The tartar sauce at Chase Landing is to die for. They should bottle that stuff. Like, honestly.
And
what was your
yours?
favorite?
Honestly, guys, I can't decide. It was a
serious?
tie.
No.
It was a tie for me. Close call, but
No.
I can't separate them. The batter at all three places to die for. Get it?
Was it better?
Better?
Oh,
Home run?
no.
on your street.
Calling all kids. We're looking to share your stories for our new segment, On Your Street. Interview your pet, show us how to make your favorite snack, or give us a tour of your favorite place. The options are endless. For all the details and to submit your video, head to cbc.ca/nl and click on the Community tab.
Well, before we go tonight, we've already heard that Santa is an essential worker, but what about the elf on the shelf?
Yeah, well, today the health minister weighed in with a question a lot of kids have been wondering.
He can travel if he is an essential travelling elf. There are, however, different jobs for elves, so some may need to isolate. And I would suggest you discuss this with your elf before coming to any premature conclusions. But in the words of Dr. Fitzgerald, these are essential workers.
Well, that's good news for sure. Taking a look at the forecast for tomorrow, just quickly, not a whole lot going on across the island. Temperatures will be a little warmer than what we're seeing today, maybe a few showers on the west coast, but it'll be breezy tomorrow afternoon. South winds anywhere from 30 to 60 kilometers per hour. All the action in Labrador tomorrow. We do have snow moving in tonight, and that will continue through tomorrow afternoon before we start to see a change over to rain. Good 20 to 30 centimeters possible in the west, and then towards Happy Valley, Goose Bay and the coast, you're looking at somewhere between 10 to 20 centimeters of snow. And then we talk about freezing rain, and that will happen Tuesday night into Wednesday for the valley.
That's it for us, everyone.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Good night.